everybody. Good morning. This is Jean here.
Hello.
And I have my friend Jen. And this is Jean's Block Party 2018. And the reason we're sitting down, we're having a chat in my front room. And we're talking about our quilts.
They're done.
that are finished. You've seen my quilt. I've already done my quilt when I was doing the binding. But we haven't seen Jen's. But I wanted to talk to Jen about the whole process and what you've actually learned about the quilting from day one. We've been doing this since January, and your thoughts about it.
Yeah, I love it. I've learned so much. I've learned to quilt, honestly, from this one experience and through these videos.
Where was the beginning of that journey?
So we were talking about this. All started because I made what I thought was a quilt, a baby blankety thing with my great aunt's handkerchiefs, and I said to Jean, I'm like, when I look at it now compared to what we've done through this party, like it wasn't even a quilt. And I remember we did a video about that. That's how the whole thing started. And Jean graciously gave it a 2. And now I look at it, I'm like, I think it's like a -5. It's so
and people were like, you were so mean to Jen. And I thought, well, it was constructive criticism. Jen started out quilting with no idea how to quilt.
Right.
And used your...
I had watched a few of your videos, and I found fabric.
You have my quilts.
I have your quilts, right? But I didn't actually know how to do it.
And she used her precious quilt hankies. She should have kept them.
I should have waited till I learned how to quilt before I tried to make a handkerchief quilt.
Out of your auntie's precious hankies. But it's a beautiful keepsake. It's wonderful. Yeah. But that's why we started our quilt journey for Jen.
Yeah.
To learn.
I feel like I know now.
You know how to quilt.
I know how to quilt.
Yeah. So we were up to the point. We've done. We won't rehash the blocks. We've done 20 weeks worth of blocks.
Yeah. And
then we sandwiched it. We basted it, and then it was quilting.
Yes.
And then the binding.
Yeah.
I've not. You saw me quilting, and you saw me binding my quilt and the finished product. I want to talk to Jen about the actual quilting, how you got on. We had decided, because you like the diagonals.
Yeah, we saw it at the quilt show, and I fell in love with it. I love the look. I have an argyle thing. Like, I really have been obsessed with argyle for a long time. My youngest son, I painted argyle on his bedroom wall. Yeah. Jean made an argyle quilt for him. Like, I've kind of been hung up on that pattern for a long time. And so when I saw it at the quilt show, I thought, that's so beautiful. I love that. It reminds me of argyle. We should do that. It looks easy. Because Jean, is a professional free motion quilter, and I haven't really. I've just tried it a little bit on a piece of scrap fabric, but I have no idea how to do that. Right. So we were trying to think of something to do that wouldn't mess up my quilt, right? Because I don't really know how to do the free motion yet. You had invested 6 months into this quilt. Yeah. So you were really anxious. A little bit of money.
And we wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
How much money did you spend on your quilt?
So I think just the fabric for this quilt would probably be like $150. Right. I'm thinking $175.
Right. Now you're quilting. You had to, in the very beginning, you had to go out and buy supplies.
Yes, so that was more.
That was another maybe
$100.
Hundreds or so.
Yeah.
So
then I bought better supplies. Yes. I realized.
We went to the quilt show and we bought even better supplies,
which we're going to do a video about.
Yes, we are going to do the video on the products that we bought at the quilt show, which are unbelievable. But you bought your basic rotary cutter and mat and measuring things and everything. Yeah. That sufficed for your quilt. So you started to quilt diagonally.
Yes.
Now I started to quilt diagonally.
Yeah.
And let me just say, I've made over 400 quilts. And I had never quilted really anything on the diagonal because I do a lot of free motion quilting or in the ditch or whatever I do. But it was Jen's idea I agreed totally.
We shouldn't listen to me.
No, we should listen to you. But there's people out there right now who are going, okay, you should have used a walking foot, Jean, who used walking feet. I've said this before a dozen times. I don't use a walking foot when I'm quilting, nor does Jen.
I don't even know what one was.
And I don't even know what it is either, but I think I have one. Or I probably have 5 of them, I don't know. But I've made all my quilts, and my quilts have never puckered. a little tuck here on the top. The backing is perfect. The way we sandwich. Oh, your back is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. No tucks on the back. The way we did it, but I found, and my conclusion of it for me was perhaps because I didn't use a walking foot and because we were quilting basically on the bias across our quilts, it was shifting a bit more than usual. So who cares, right? So, but Jen, I called Jen. This is the whole thing. I called Jen up and I said, I'm quilting my quilt and it's puckering a bit when I'm doing it on the diagonal. Perhaps you want to, as I did, go back and reinforce your sashing.
Yeah.
Vertically, stitching in the ditch, vertically and horizontally to secure the quilt, which sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. I didn't choose to, but you really needed to on this quilt to secure the quilt before we started that quilting.
Yeah.
Well, I texted Jen and Jen started.
So I start doing in the ditch and it's not working real well for me. So it started to pucker more than on the diagonal. And I thought, something's not right here. And then I realized I had cut all my sashing fabric the wrong way on the bolt. So it was really stretching as I was like trying to gently feed it through the machine. And it was getting to the end and I would have like literally this like extra amount of fabric that I'm trying to like tuck and fold and make it go away.
Right.
So that was a little more difficult for me.
So I was saying, I've been tailoring this for beginners, and the first 5 or 6 or 7 blocks, I was showing you guys, beginners, how to cut.
Yeah.
I remember like put the fabric here, put your ruler there, cut there. I was really back to the very, very, very basic. But as we went along, I wrongly assumed that Jen,
probably everyone else did it correctly,
knew how to cut fabric.
What happened was too, I had used that white fabric throughout, so it wasn't on a bolt anymore.
Okay.
It was kind of like out and fold it and back and fold it, so it wasn't like where I was in the beginning where I would unroll it and cut it the right way.
So Jen probably cut some of her sashing strips inadvertently.
I think I cut them all that way.
On the bias. Because her sashing, the rest of her quilt, maybe
I think I cut them all wrong.
Maybe she cut her blocks wrong. I don't know, but we were having a laugh about it because what shouldn't have stretched for me, and what should have stretched didn't stretch for her. So anyway, our quilts turned out. It was wonderful. It was super. Now, we're going to show you in a minute our quilts. We're going to stand up. I'm going to turn the camera off. But the last bit about it, we're talking about the bias, the binding.
Yes.
Now, you chose the fabric that you actually had chosen for
the back.
For the backing.
Yes.
It's a blue.
And we had talked about if I was going to do like the orangey or the blue, but I realized once I got the bee fabric on the back, I didn't have that navy color on the back.
Exactly.
And I thought I was making a navy quilt from the beginning, which I did not. So I thought,
we made white quilts with a bunch of colors.
So I thought I'm going to use the navy for the back, and then I had the navy on the front and the back.
Right.
And it kind of tied it together. And I love the way that came out. And the binding came out great. I followed the directions for once. It came out really good.
You were tired. Jen last Sunday said, I watched the video.
And I made the binding.
And she made the binding because that was one video. And then because it's a long process. So my next video was just the binding. And Jen said, I'm not going to bind it because I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I said, don't step away from the quilt. Because Jen was saying. I
learned my lesson.
Yeah, and Jen does everything quickly.
Yeah.
And and we were saying she cleans quickly. And I'm like, don't stretch that binding, Jen, don't stretch it. Please watch the video because
and I did.
We used 2 1/4 inch fabric.
Yes, so I wanted to do it the way Jean did. So she said we could use 2 1/4 or 2 1/2.
Right.
And I did the 2 1/4, which looking back, I said to her this morning, maybe I should have done 2 1/2 just because I hadn't really done it before.
Right.
But it came out really good. I just had to go really, really slow.
But what happened with your hands?
My hands were killing me.
Isn't that something? If
they
you
hurt so badly, like that.
Maybe we were
that night and the next day. I just felt like folding it and holding it and just that,
And when you said that, it sort of triggered something in me when I first started. Binding, people go, I hate binding or I love binding. There's two camps.
Yeah.
People either hate it or they love it. I don't mind it. Of course, we don't hand stitch anything, and we were stitching to the back and turning to the front, and machine stitching it, which is a practice in itself. And Jen did it the first quilt, but it's you really are using your hands. You're really using your fingers. And I suppose muscles.
Yeah, that I don't never used
that
before.
You never used. Yeah. No, I just thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. I was really surprised.
So you like
my fingers are out of shape.
Yeah. so we're getting into shape. It's Zumba for quilters.
Yeah.
So it turned out.
Yeah, I came out. I loved it.
It turned out beautifully. Now I just saw her quilt just for a second, but we're gonna reveal them. So this is the end of our quilting.
Our block party.
Our block party. What are we going to do?
We got to do something.
Now, where are you going to put your quilt?
So I don't know because I'm terrified anything bad should happen to it.
I'm selling mine. Oh,
I can't believe you're going to.
I know. Jen is like.
I think she should put it on eBay.
Oh, stop.
I think she should.
No, Jen is like, so where are you going to put your quilt? And I'm like, I'm not that. I am invested in it because of it was my teaching quilt, but I have too many quilts.
She has lots and lots.
Look, you can't see, but there's 50,000 quilts sitting here that I'm attached to. But as you know, I sell them, and I'm thinking I'll just sell it. But I was thinking about
I'm not selling mine.
She's not selling hers. Oh, and the final thing before we reveal it, the final thing is I'll be showing you. I'm going to be taking some still pictures of Jen's quilt up close, probably out back. Okay. We're going to label our quilts, and I have some beautiful fabric labels that you can buy. Okay. So you were just looking at some of them, and Jen's going to take a pic of which label, and I'll show you some pictures of these labels when I take my camera. You can just buy a sheet, almost like a panel. If you just type in quilt labels, fabric quilt labels, it'll probably take you to a fabric site that you can cut out your label. I would recommend, as I was telling Jen, like a lightweight iron-on interfacing, and then cut it out carefully. And then a fabric, permanent fabric ink, stitched really nice. Printed really nice with your name, the date, and any other information which you might. Jean's Block Party 2018. Because if you check out my web page, people have made labels, and they've put that information on the back of them. And we were talking about labeling your quilt. How many times have you gone to a yard sale, and there's dear old dead Auntie Sarah's precious quilts for $4 each on a table?
Yeah, it's hard
because these millennials are I'm not categorizing, but people don't want them, and they don't realize. Can you imagine
if somebody sold this for $4?
You'll come back to them again and want them. Seriously,
I'm like, I would be so offended.
See, you'll be dead, and they're selling it for $4. But at least if I rescued a needlepoint last week from a yard sale for $1. That was made in the 70s, but I made all this stuff in the 70s, and I stopped. My husband stopped the car, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go get that. It's in my other room. Like, I need more stuff, right? But we can't rescue everything. But if you're Goodwill or a charity shop or a thrift store or a yard sale or flea market, something is labeled.
At least they know where it came from.
You know where it came from, and maybe if you have a heart, rescue it. And I know you quilters are that way because you understand the craft now. So Jen is going to label her quilt for future generations.
Yes. Do not sell.
Do not sell.
I might put it in the will.
Yes. And the last thing, you bought your fabric at Walmart.
Yes,
the front fabric. Mm-hmm. You spent quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
on the backing,
The bee fabric.
on
yeah.
eBay,
Etsy.
on Etsy, excuse
Yeah.
me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what a difference.
What a difference. Yeah, what a difference. No, I love Walmart fabric. I love Joanne fabric. We've gone into this. But the whole thing is, and most quilters will acknowledge that if you're going to spend time
Yeah.
and energy and passion and heart into a 6-month project,
Yeah.
this was your first learning experience, but perhaps for your next one you'll save and get some better fabric maybe for the front.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah.
If you can't afford it. I always say buy what you can afford.
Yeah.
If you can only afford to buy fabric at Walmart, it's $2.97 a yard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on. You know, you can get Joanne fabric, and there's a whole school of a debate like, oh, it's crap, it's horrible, it's that, and that. Well, if that's what you can afford, I've said this before,
Yeah.
hold your head high. This is made with Walmart fabric on the front. It is magnificent. It is beautiful.
The only difference really is the feel of it.
Absolutely.
It looks beautiful. The Walmart fabric looks beautiful, but
The
like
feel.
you could just pet the back of this because
And
it is so.
We were both
so,
saying we like we don't spend an awful lot on clothes.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah.
spend a lot on jewelry. But Jen was saying, you know, perhaps you're more of a tactile person because
Yeah.
you spend money on
I do like a better thread count in my
thread count
sheets.
in a sheet.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I still go to Ross and get them
Yeah,
for
and get
like,
them- right.
you know, way less.
Right.
But I'll always look for the one that's on the
Because-
clearance rack with the highest thread count.
because feeling it.
Yeah, I
you
like
know,
that feel.
that you know.
Yeah, yours is the same way.
Mine's the
It's
same
nice.
way. It's
Yeah.
it's really decent fabric. So so that's the end of our journey. I'm going to take the quilts over here. We're going to show Jen.
Oh, and our quilting's a little different.
Oh yes. I quilted mine. Well, I sort of was in it. I quilted mine every 2 inches.
Yeah.
Because that's fine. Jen quilted hers
I did every 4.
every 4 inches.
Because when the puckering started happening, I got nervous
Right.
that it might happen more frequently the more I was quilting it. So, as Jean says, I made an executive decision
Absolutely.
to go with 4 and
and
just
it's
stick
and
with
it's
it.
soft
And it's even. It's every 4. Like
and it's
yeah.
consistent. That's what I said. It's okay. It's consistent across the top
And
of
it's
the quilt.
pretty much straight.
And it's straight.
Like it really that taping
Yeah.
really helped.
And
And,
that-
I found even at the end my tape would shift and I could see it. I didn't I could pull it back and just kind of finish it going from block to block every
Yes.
3 inches.
Yeah.
So I was getting the feel for
Yeah.
like how
Yeah.
it should be.
And you had no trouble quilting a decent sized quilt in your small little machine.
Yeah, no.
And that you were panicking about that too.
Yeah, I did prop it up. I put the leaves
Right.
up in the table. I made sure I had enough space.
And you were
I was up higher. And
because when Jen began, she was saying until you came into my sewing room, you were
Yeah.
saying you sort of were like going up to the machine,
yeah,
and you didn't realize the importance of sitting up and sort of going down to the machine.
Yeah.
Not like down and up, but like it made a difference.
Yes.
So you sit, if you're sitting, like some machines are on a table and you're tending to do this, and you're thinking, oh, that's okay. Here's
Yeah.
the needle. But I said raise the chair.
and the biggest thing was making the machine stop moving away from me.
Oh, did you get your yoga?
Yeah. So I had a yoga mat that I put underneath it. Then my husband took it to exercise. He doesn't do yoga, but like he uses the mat to like, do sit-ups or whatever. And then I got like a rubber mat that you use for like drying dishes.
Yes, yeah,
And
anything.
stuck it. It was like the perfect size of my machine. I stuck it underneath, and now that thing does not move.
Doesn't
it
move.
go anywhere.
And
even if I'm pushing toward it goes nowhere.
And see, and that just little
And that
things
gives
like
you
that.
control. Like, because when
Exactly.
it's moving, now
Well, yeah.
there's a lack of control there. They're like, ah.
Right. So all these little things that you've learned along the way
Big difference.
make a big difference. And we have quilts at the end of the day.
Real quilts.
Real quilts. This is 100 out of 10.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, love you.
Love you. Thank you for teaching
You're
me.
welcome. Now I'm going to put the camera up and we're going to show Jen's quilt.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay. So here's Jen in my front room. And with her quilt, and we're going to see Jen's quilt. 6 months, folks, in the making. Curved corners.
I loved curving the corners too.
Look, Jen.
It's a proper quilt.
It is. Now let me see. You see your smiling face first. There's a Truelove heart. Let me see your curved corners. Look at that. And so they lay flat.
They lay flat. Yeah.
And people always say about keeping your corners straight. As you know me, I'm sort of famous for my curved corners. Beautiful, Jen.
Thank you.
Your fussy cut bees.
Yeah. All over.
And you used a Walmart batting.
Yes, a Walmart batting. And I got, it was more than I needed for this quilt.
Okay.
I got a big thing of it for like $30 online.
Oh, on Walmart.com.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
100% cotton.
100% cotton. It's really soft.
Yeah.
It really is soft. Now, which is your favorite block?
My favorite block.
Because I had a favorite block.
Yeah.
And I pointed that out. I pointed out my favorite block. Which is your favorite block?
Absolute favorite. I don't know. I love
block 11.
not
Not block 11.
I love the lobster claw
yes,
one.
yeah.
And really, yeah, that one. And this one I love.
That's my favorite block.
Yeah.
This is my favorite block. I suppose because it's just a traditional.
Ohio Star, or no?
The Ohio Star is over there. This is more of a, or maybe no, I don't know what this is called. This is just a traditional looking quilt block,
Yeah,
you know.
I really like
and I just loved that one. That was my favorite.
Now
But
my favorite to make, this one.
Because it's so stupid easy. And this was number 1.
Yeah.
That's number 1.
Yeah.
And
That
Jen
gave
is
me a
like,
hard time.
that was so hard. Why
Yeah.
she was ready to give up the block party before it began.
I know. That one I was like, oh no, are they all going to be
And our
like
half
this?
square triangles.
Yeah, I think that came out good.
Yeah, that's good. And Jacob's ladder.
And I love that one too. Yeah.
And
I would like that going down a whole quilt.
Yes.
Would look
Yeah.
pretty. It would look like Argyle would.
Absolutely. It would look like Argyle.
Yeah.
And then the disappearing 9 patch.
I did like that one a lot too. Yeah.
The snowball blocks.
And I like snowballs now. I see how I would like that now.
It
That was not my favorite.
creates
originally.
a nice your
10-minute
secondary
block.
my 10-minute block, and the snowballs create a nice secondary pattern.
Yeah.
So like you say, you could make a quilt now with just one block. There are
Yeah.
called 1 block or 2 block quilts. You just
Yes.
this is again a sampler block, a sampler quilt.
Yeah.
In all of its glory.
Yeah.
And
then this is the back.
And then the backing. Jen's is, like mine, is really completely reversible.
Yeah.
Her beautiful bee fabric.
And I kept it directional with the front of the quilt.
Yes. Beautiful. Do you remember, people probably are wondering what brand, what manufacturer, I should say, the bee fabric was?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Something New York.
Because it was good fabric.
Yeah, it was
yes,
good
it was
fabric.
good fabric from
Yeah.
a
In fact, on Etsy, when I went to order it, it was so much. I thought per yard.
Yeah.
It was per half yard.
Per half yard, yeah.
That was the problem.
Yeah. This was
So then when I realized it was a half yard, I'm like, oh wait, I need double of that.
Yeah.
And then that's when it got expensive.
You spent a lot.
I did.
I don't think I've ever spent that much money on fabric. And then you had to pay for shipping.
I did have to pay for
Yeah, so it's beautiful fabric, but I won't tell you how much it was because it was worth it. But it was very expensive.
Yeah.
This was very expensive, and I bought my quilt has expensive fabric from the manufacturer from Moda, but it was not as expensive as that.
Yeah.
So anyway, live and learn. It's fine. It's tactilely, it's fantastic.
And
it's beautiful.
Like this was my first.
Yes.
And like this is like a family heirloom to me. Like,
Absolutely.
I would never sell it.
Pull it up once
I
more.
Would,
Yeah, you'd never sell that.
Yeah. So
Beautiful, Jen. Oh, and you haven't said where are you going to put it?
No, I'm like I have 3 kids, as you all know.
I know.
So I'm terrified one of them's gonna like spill chocolate milk on it. So I'm still thinking that through. I want it in my living room, but I don't want them to touch it.
Yeah. But then it will lose its sacredness, and
Yeah.
they'll start to use it,
They
and
will.
it'll be okay because it'll wash. Oh, now that you have a million quilts from me.
Yes.
But I suggested that you use a color catcher, and you didn't know what they are.
Yes, I haven't washed it yet.
Okay, no. But when you go to wash a quilt, you've washed my quilts and they wash beautifully. But just to be sure, you want to probably use what's called a color catcher, either Shout or I like the ones from Carbona, Carbona. Okay. And it's like a microfiber sheet that catches any excess dye.
Nice, so it won't go into my white.
So it won't go into your white because you have navy that if the dye's
and
not stable, yes, yeah. Right. So it could tinge your white fabric slightly.
Okay.
So I always use, and I use like 6 of them.
Okay. So you go.
It says use 1.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if 1 is good, 6 is better.
Right.
More is more. More is never enough for me. I'll use a whole box. No, but my quilts have never run.
Okay. That's
what I'm saying. And you know, you're going to be like, oh, I don't want to quilt. I don't want to wash this if your rotten kids spoil chocolate milk.
I know.
So if they do, you'll be covered. Okay. And then it will take on a whole new life.
Yeah.
Oh, and what did you do at the very, very end, which I've always done with my quilts?
I ironed it.
You ironed it.
The front and the back.
And did you see a difference?
Yes.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Isn't that something?
Especially my white fabric is a little prone to wrinkle more than the others.
Yeah, well, that's
stiffer. It's not as soft.
Right. Your white fabric is Waverly. Yeah, interesting.
From Walmart.
From Walmart, yeah. So this, folks, is a Walmart quilt. A Walmart fabric quilt. How fabulous is Jen's quilt? We'll just give a big shout out to Jen.
Thank you, Jean, for teaching me.
You're welcome. Now we're going to take some still photographs of Jen's quilt outside in all of its glory. Thanks, folks, for following along. Send me your quilts, your finished quilts, to the webpage, and we can all have a big hurrah and a big pat on the back for each one of us. All right, thanks, folks. Bye.